We constantly hear about media negatively impacting body image, right?
Yeah, that's the standard narrative, comparison, dissatisfaction.
Exactly. But what if, for some people, in a very specific digital space, it could actually do the opposite?
Make them more comfortable.
Yeah, increase their body comfort.
Well, that's pretty much the surprising idea from the research we're looking at today.
Welcome to the Sex Science Podcast, where we turn the latest peer-reviewed research on intimacy and sexuality into fun, accessible conversations. Generated by AI and fact-checked by experts, the Sex Science Podcast was created by LaShaw to empower you through knowledge. So, join us as we explore pleasure, relationships, human connection, and everything in between.
Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating and maybe a little unexpected for some. It's the relationship between how men feel about their bodies, their body comfort, and their use of erotic campsites.
Right. And we're basing this discussion on one key source, which is important to note.
Yeah, exactly. It's a research paper just out February 2025. Researchers from the Kinsey Institute, they surveyed a lot of people, over 5,800 users of livejasmine.com, mostly heterosexual cisgender men. And here's the headline finding, really. They found 19%, nearly 1 in 5, said they actually felt more comfortable with their own bodies since they started using the site.
19%. That's what, over 1,000 men just in their sample? It's not insignificant.
No, definitely not. And the researchers didn't just stop there.
Yeah.
They wanted to know why.
Exactly. They dug into the written responses, the qualitative stuff, to try and figure out the mechanisms, what was actually happening for that 19%.
Okay, but first, context. Body dissatisfaction, it's not just a women's issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely not. The source mentions, something like 27 to 36% of U.S. men aren't happy with at least one part of their body.
And that's a big deal for well-being.
For sure. It can impact self-esteem, quality of life. It's a genuine concern.
Now, usually when we talk men, media, and bodies, it's things like fitness magazines or traditional porn.
And the link there is usually more dissatisfaction.
Why is that?
Mostly social comparison. You see these super idealized bodies, often unrealistic, and you compare yourself.
You feel kind of inadequate.
Makes sense. Right. Pressure to fit a certain mold.
But this study suggests Camsites are different. How are they defined here?
As interactive platforms. Live performers, models, interacting with users via chat.
Live interaction, that's the key.
Exactly. And there's this option for private one-on-one video sessions, cam-to-cam.
So it's not just passive watching.
Precisely. There's potential for real-time feedback, maybe even some emotional closeness, self-disclosure. It's fundamentally different from just watching a pre-recorded video.
Got it. Right. What's making the difference for that 19%?
So they looked at the explanations provided by a subset of those men, about 477 of them, who elaborated on why they felt more comfortable.
Okay, this is the core of it. What were the main reasons, the mechanisms?
The most common one, mentioned in about 25% of those detailed responses, was positive feedback from the models.
Like compliments.
Exactly, direct stuff, like having her tell me I am so handsome, or comments about their body during interactions, even nonverbal cues, like the model seeming genuinely into it.
But hang on, isn't there the whole, they're getting paid? Doesn't that make the feedback feel kind of fake?
That's a great point, and the study addresses it. Participants were aware. One guy literally said, I know models are paid to be nice. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
But, he continued, when you get consistently complimented on the same things, it becomes easier to accept those compliments as true.
So it's the consistency and maybe the lack of judgment.
Exactly. Consistent positive feedback, perceived genuine reactions, maybe in a context that feels less judgmental than everyday life. It seems to land differently for some.
Okay, so model feedback is number one. What's next?
Second most common, about 15%, was called reflection perspective shift.
So more internal this time.
Yeah, this was about people changing their own views. Less about external validation, more about introspection.
How did that manifest?
Things like realizing no bodies are perfect, or accepting their own size or body type is okay. Feeling less hung up on, say, penis size, which is a common insecurity.
So letting go of the perfect body myth.
Pretty much. One quote was really striking about accepting a change due to cancer, saying he was self-conscious, but not so much now. It points to a real internal acceptance.
Wow. Okay, so external feedback, internal shifts.
Yeah.
What about the platform's features? You mentioned interaction.
Definitely. The next two themes are tied directly to that, both around 10% each. physical self-exposure, and using the Cam2Cam feature.
Cam2Cam enables the self-exposure, right?
Exactly. Cam2Cam is the private video chat. Self-exposure is the act of the user actually showing their body on camera in that context.
And just doing that helped.
Apparently, yes. For some, the act of getting naked, even online with a stranger, boosted real-life confidence. One person said the internet separation made them less self-conscious.
Sort of a safe space to be vulnerable.
Kind of, yeah. There's distance, control, familiarity of your own surroundings, and sometimes the models showing themselves first makes it easier.
Interesting. Did just talking to models beyond compliments matter?
It did for a smaller group, about 4.4%. This was talking to models about bodies, fantasies, stereotypes.
Full conversations.
Right. Like, one person said, talking openly about sex has helped me understand that I don't need a perfect body. The dialogue itself was affirming.
Okay, what else?
Another one, around 4%, was body positivity. This came from seeing diversity among the models themselves.
Not just seeing one ideal type.
Exactly. Seeing models who weren't Barbie doll perfect, seeing variety, seeing models comfortable in their own skin, regardless of appearance, that helps some users accept their own bodies more.
Broadening the definition of attractive.
Seems like it.
Any other themes?
Just one smaller one, under 2%. Altering body or appearance. A few guys mentioned changing something like clothes, cross-dressing, or fitness made them feel better, and sometimes model feedback reinforced that.
Okay, so we've got model feedback, perspective shifts, exposure via Cam2Cam, talking, body positivity from seeing diversity, and some altering appearance. What's the thread tying these together?
It really seems to come back to that unique, interactive, interpersonal element of Camsites. It's not passive consumption.
It's the doing, the talking, the feedback loop.
Yeah. It's the combination of getting direct feedback, expressing yourself, having conversations, seeing diversity interactively. It creates this different kind of space.
Space where, for that 19%, body acceptance seemed possible, maybe more than elsewhere.
That's what the data suggests, yeah. A counter-narrative to the usual media effects story, at least for this specific group and context.
But we need the caveats, the limitations.
Absolutely crucial. First, this was mostly heterosexual cisgender men. Can't generalize easily.
Okay.
Second, they asked about comfort. Not the whole complex idea of body image. It's related, but narrower.
No before picture, right.
Right. No baseline data. It's self-reported change since starting. And remember, 81% did not report increased comfort. We don't know if they stayed the same or felt worse.
Good points. And no data from the model side either.
Correct. All important context.
So wrapping this up, a significant minority of men in this study reported feeling more comfortable with their bodies due to using Camsites.
Driven by things like positive model feedback, internal perspective shifts, the act of self-exposure in Cam2Cam, talking, and seeing body diversity.
It really highlights how interactive digital spaces can have complex, sometimes unexpected effects.
Definitely makes you think differently about media impact. It's not always just one-way negative.
So the final thought for you, the listener. What does this finding suggest about how these interactive online worlds are shaping us, maybe influencing things like body image in ways we haven't fully grasped yet, even in spaces we might not typically associate with positive self-perception? Makes you wonder what else is happening out there.
Thank you for listening to the Sex Science Podcast, brought to you by LaShaw. We hope that you learned something new about the wonderful world of human intimacy and sexuality, and join us next time as we dive into more fascinating research. And remember, science is for you. Music for this podcast was produced by SOUNDRAW.